Hello, Sparkies. Remember, I'm trying that out because in the Soul versus Ego Smackdown book, my premise is that we are here to spark light, that is our purpose in our individual ways. And so you are listening to my way of sparking light, which is this podcast called What Would Tracy Sue Do?, where we ask better questions about things that matter. Just a note, I am trying something new. I am sort of reorganizing definitely reorganizing how I do life, but also how I do business and how I communicate with my people and how I take that to a more intimate, connected level. We are definitely not getting our needs met in terms of connection and relationship on social media. It's actually causing harm. We're feeling more of a craving for connection than ever. So because we're limited by geography, I want to create a safe space where we can meet up and have deeper discussions, more extended discussions, where I can share more information and go explore an area or many areas with greater depth and a broad base of knowledge. So I've been told to niche and stay in my lane. And I've been thinking about what my lane is. And I think it's really a spiritual woman who is trying to live a good life and create something of meaning for myself and others. And I find that my creative expression is 100% necessary in terms of how I am meant to spark light and how I am meant to lead and communicate with people. I have always been a person who's willing to go first, take the risk, reinvent something, defy conventional wisdom, acknowledge the formula that is breaking down, a complete and total inability to conform and fit in the traditional boxes, which has its cost, and also its gifts. So I am taking a lot of information that I have in terms of the spiritual path, law of attraction, vision boards, coaching, creating a lifestyle, onto a Patreon membership page, which is at tracysue.com/safe space. And tracysue.com survey says is on there that will give me some insight into what my tribe, what my community is interested in doing so that I can have an economy of effort. So my version of success and the way I'm living my life is changing greatly. What I want to deliver and how I want to deliver into the world, the sparks that I want to create is changing. And I am very interested in the economy of success in this area. This is my second podcast today, so if I do a little slurping on my lemon honey tea and my voice gets a little scratchy, do forgive me, because I really think that it is essential that I take it when I can get it, this creative surge of energy that sometimes I just feel flow, spirit, creative energy bursting forth from me, and a deep desire that verges on compulsion to share with you what I know, what I'm going through. And I want to take that into a more private, safe space. Because there are things that I want to share that are not necessarily things I want to put out there for mass consumption. For instance, in my book, The Year of Yes, which was a one-year experiment where I said yes to everything my soul told me to do, no matter what, I kept a journal and I put that journal out into the public as a memoir. And it is a tremendous amount of very personal, very vulnerable, very raw details about my inner world, as one person called it, my vivacious inner world. And I didn't edit the hard out of it, and I didn't edit the pain out of it. What's interesting about many memoirs is that they're written in the past tense. I went through this really hard thing, and now I'm better, and here's what I learned. That is basically the formula of a memoir. This is not that. That book is a real time, real emotion, real experiencing, real processing in the moment that I experienced it and processed it. And that honestly has been, one of my biggest healing experiences was to process that in writing. And one of my greatest callings has been to share that with the world, because prior to the #MeToo movement, I understood the sacred value and the sacred work of sharing in a way that is so honest and vulnerable that it allows others who are going through the same thing and thinking, I'm the only one going through this. I'm so alone. Why do I feel this way? How, shaming. Many of us shame ourselves, assuming that other people are not getting tripped up or experiencing pain like we are. And to divulge what is essentially private information has been a catch-22 for me. I feel very called to share it. I feel very called to create a tribe of truth, and a tribe where we're allowed to be something more and deeper than Instagram meme. And yet I also feel like it's putting myself out there in a way that's so public, so open to haters, so open to criticism. It's holding me back in the work that I feel called to do, in the sense that there are things that have been going on with me, that are going on with me, insights that I have, knowledge that I want to impart on those who are called to partake of the sacrament of my soul, and share theirs as well. But it's holding me back because I don't want to be a Slurpee for public consumption. And I've done that before, and I know that there is a price, a cost, and I'm not willing to pay that price or cost right now. When I was doing a lot of work with the Girl Revolution and talking about issues surrounding girls and violence and perpetration of violence and such, I really put my personal information out there. When I wrote The Year of Yes, I put my personal information out there. But those were kind of experiments. We didn't know what this was going to become. The internet revolution has been a lot to take in, a lot to navigate. And I, have had periods where I've shamed myself for not doing it right. And then I recall and remind myself that this was new. It was an experiment. And I was one of the people who had the audacity and courage and bravery to put myself out there on this brand new wavelength, this brand new World Wide Web, this brand new blog concept. And financially, man, some people figured it out in a different way. They came at it from a different direction than I was coming at it from. And I am starting to understand a different direction that I can take things in my business. I've taken some downtime to regroup, reinvent, basically experience a death of my incarnation, of what I had built, and to experience a dark night of the soul, if you will, that I've talked about on this podcast. And I want to go deeper, and I want to share what I've learned. And I also want a level of privacy that cannot be consumed, that can't be copied and stolen by people who don't create their own ideas. There's pieces of this that has never sat right for me. Giving away my wisdom for free, I think, trained people to just consume it. And it felt like a one-way experience to me much of the time. And that direction was me giving. And it has a consequence: burnout and depletion and being sucked dry, the entitlement of other people to my juju, my good vibes, my energy. And that doesn't feel good to me. And so, I am breaking away from that formula, that conventional wisdom, which in my opinion is dead anyway. I'm breaking away from social media more. I'm not able to connect with my people on social media. They're definitely, they're deciding who sees what I say and what I see of other people. I miss people I used to connect on social media with. I never see them. I don't get to know what's going on with them. I put something out that's close to my heart or meant for creating a connection, and social media is not showing that to people, and then choosing what they show to people based on keywords to instigate conflict because they want more engagement on platforms like Facebook. We're being extraordinarily manipulated by this demographic data, not just in terms of selling, but in terms of false news and targeted people who are vulnerable to conspiracies or nonsense or lies. And I don't fucking appreciate that is happening. I think it is, it's kind of a war crime. It's a political, Trump doesn't have to be in collusion with Russia for Russia to deeply affect our elections. Russia just has to buy ads on Facebook, which I understand that Facebook is an international corporation now, but I also believe that there are some ethics that should be observed. And I don't want to put my shit out there so that Facebook can either stir shit up or restrict my ability to connect with people I want to connect with. So I am creating a safe space where I can offer more in-depth information and knowledge and wisdom to my people, and also so that we can connect in a place where we can actually be seen and heard by each other, and where I can go deeper and more personal with more raw, private, vulnerable information, and it won't hold me back creatively. And there will also be a reciprocity of energy going both directions that feels better to me, and hopefully feels better to you as well. So that address that you can visit to become involved in this community that I'm building is tracysue.com/safe space. So that's TRACEESIOUX.com/safe space. And one of the things I would like for you to do when you get there, one of the first things, is to take a simple, easy survey so that I can understand what kind of community we're creating. Where did you come from? Where did you meet me? I've had these very different experiences over the last 15 years since I have been doing work online, and journalism, political activism, the girl revolution, advocating for girls and parenting, and feminism and feminine feminism and, my life coaching and business coaching and publishing. Like there are ways in which I've put myself out there. And a friend of mine asked me, well, who is your audience? Who are your people on your, newsletter list or social media? And I told her where all the places many of you could be coming from. And I don't know. I can't answer that question. I have tended to combine my lists as I've changed focus. Many of you started with me 15 years ago, and as we have matured, gone through different life phases, we've been raising toddlers together and then children, and now we're sending these beautiful young adults out into the world. And the Girl Revolution experiment fucking works, y'all. And so maybe we want to talk about that. We're in midlife, we're transitioning, or maybe we've been building businesses and we've had falls and trip ups and failures, and maybe we're growing spiritually, but we're in a new phase. So please take the survey. Give me an idea of who you are. How did you get here? Where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about? What is interesting to you right now? How do you want to connect? So you can find that at tracysue.com/survey says, or on tracysue.com safe space. The survey link will be there as well. Now, there is a topic that needs to be addressed. It is the elephant in the room. We're not talking about it. We're not being honest with it because it's kind of shocking. We're talking about it in a general sense, right? So there's this political idea that the middle class is dead and dying, suffering a total fracture, a complete dissolve. There's this pending doom. And 1 to 10% are on one side, which is obviously where all of this wealth that we have created with this system of capitalism and profit, basically the, prince and princesses who have somehow generated most of the wealth globally. And then we have the other 99%. And for a while there, a lot of us, I think, thought, well, I'm going to get up to the 99 or to the 1%, no problem. So I don't have to concern myself with this. But when you go through a massive, drastic change like this, this is a socioeconomic global shift in how we do life, how we exchange energy, how we exchange goods and services, who's doing the labor and the sweat, and who's directing that, and who's winning the lottery of the major tech new thing, and who is outsourced out of a job, whose job is automated and become obsolete. And we couldn't have had the foresight to understand what our rapid progress could mean to us as individual wage earners, citizens, homeowners, craftsmen, experts, professionals, our careers. And I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't see it coming from me either. I remember I took this class in 7th grade, or maybe it was just a section of, what career do you want was basically the question. And what are you good at? And, let's put you on track for that. And I remember like in the essay, like the quizzes and whatever, 2 results kind of came up for me. And that was nurse and journalist. Nurse and journalist. Both were projected to make essentially the same amount of money. And both were considered irreplaceable skills that were not going to be lost to advancements, technology, progress, right? These were considered stable professions that I could do for the rest of my life. And I have a deep, deep, deep love affair with words and language, the English language, and communication and writing, right? It is so deep and sacred within me that it is part of my being. And in the last couple of years, I've been trying to separate myself from what I do for money and work from my identity, more towards who I am instead of what I do. And it's been so difficult and complex and tricky because I have identified with this craft, this profession, this career, this skill that I have developed in a very disciplined way with much passion and heart and soul. And it has been outsourced in many ways. This deep part of myself, this great love affair, we didn't think it was going to be outsourced because language has nuance, it has meaning, it has art. But we invented search engines that don't run on nuance and meaning and romance and art. We invented search engines that run on algorithms and keywords. God, what a disappointment to realize that a title isn't art. Oh my God, how I've struggled with that. A title isn't art. A title is keywords to attract Google's traffic. Oh my God, how I've struggled with putting ugly titles on my work, with filling my work with keywords instead of depth, art, meaning craftsmanship. Honestly, it's been one of the great tragedies of my life to watch my profession deteriorate into garbage in many ways, into a lack of ethics and false news and having content, driven by keywords and not by integrity, and to watch my profession basically dissolve into, most recently, outsourcing. In 2016, the month before the elections, I made $35,000 in sales. This was for two several month contracts, honestly. They were large contracts. They were marketing contracts. They were quality work. They were like, you basically would get an entire marketing package, copy, design, website design, things that I have learned how to do out of necessity, and business coaching and life coaching. Like, these packages were extremely valuable. And I sold 2 packages for a total of $35,000. The second Donald Trump was elected, my business crashed to nothing. The second Donald Trump was elected, my business crashed to nothing. Here's what happened. We elected a crazy person who, whether you voted for him or not, was going to inevitably create instability in the marketplace because he was a wild card. He is a wild card. There's no stability in this. None. And even if you thought he was going to bring this amazing revolution for whatever fucking reason I can't figure out, people immediately stopped investing in their dreams. See, President Obama had created a collective consciousness around the audacity of hope, around the feeling that things are going to get better. Things are getting better. I have personal power over my life. The cards have been dealt without rigging the system in favor of the house. I can make things happen for me, and there's a playing field that has a sense of fairness and hope to it. Immediately, this collective sense of hope turned to despair and fear and a sense that the level playing field was toppled like a crash, like dominoes, just complete destruction, the sense of fairness. And my business was built on the audacity of hope. My business was built on, hey, I know you can achieve what you are craving inside your soul. Let me help you build it. Let me help you get there. And that is worth something on the marketplace. And overnight, that dissolved. And it didn't just dissolve for me. See, as Americans, I think we suffer in silence a lot. Well, I know we suffer in silence a lot. Statistically, people say that social media makes them depressed. But on social media, we don't admit that we're depressed. When we meet one-on-one, we don't admit that our income has dropped to nothing overnight. No change in actual behavior, marketing strategy, business models, right? I didn't make some drastic change and then it crashed overnight, so it's my fault, right? I should have done the right thing. No, I did the right thing. I followed the strategy. I followed the formula, and it was working. I was making double the money year after year, growing my business steadily, consistently, doing all the things that were working, and then immediately crashed into nothing, stopped working, because the game had changed and the players had changed, and who was winning and who was losing changed overnight. Overnight. So what did I do? I reached into my back pocket and I said, okay, well, I've always been able to make money churning out content for, piecework, whatever. And then I realized, oh, that changed too. Now we have companies like Upwork, which are setting themselves out there like this amazing opportunity for freelancers and business owners, matching them up, and it's going to be amazing. And they set American workers against Filipino workers. American workers who have American mortgages, American bills, American standards of living that cost a shit ton of money, against Filipinos who will work for $5 an hour. Fiverr set it up so you literally can get so much work. Web design, audio editing, video, logo. Like, you can get everything you need for your business for $5. And the upsell packages, I've paid for upsell packages of up to $2,000 maximum. And that was for an American worker and an extended, very large project. Don't get me wrong, I have used Fiverr in my business. That was part of my business model. And many people who are in design industries, writing industries, any industry that needs a freelancer to create a logo or what piece of art or a web design has used Fiverr. And I don't want to shame people for that, except for there's a natural consequence that cannot be avoided. That when we send those jobs overseas to third world countries, We don't have employment in America. We have workers who are now unable to get living wages. See, when it was just machines and it was just Detroit turning out, whatever manufacturing thing they were doing and it got automated, honestly, I thought, well, I guess they'll just have to go be nurses. I mean, because it wasn't affecting me. It wasn't affecting the people around me. And it's like, I got it. Like, I understood the problem. And I felt for these people who were outsourced and automated, made obsolete. And at the same time, it wasn't directly affecting my life. In fact, I probably at some point thought, well, they should hire me and I can help them achieve their dream. Great investment. Let's go. This is doable. But now, there's no industry that's safe. Let me repeat that. There is no industry that is safe. Accountants, nope, TurboTax. Even the accountant uses TurboTax. Computer sciences? Are you kidding me? Things move so fast that if you're not constantly re-educating yourself, you're going to lose a job. HP used to be one of the primary companies in this town, and I know quite a few people who worked for them, and they were making pretty damn good money, and it was a stable, sustainable job, and then whoop, HP left the country. These major corporations, these jobs, these formulas that worked, stopped working. They stopped fucking working. Through no fault of our own, people. This is not a lazy situation. It's not a pull yourself up by your bootstraps situation. This is a progress, quote unquote, progress situation built on capitalism that makes workers obsolete. Now, we're in an inflation right now, and it's a pretty serious one. There are a lot of signs that point to 2008 red flags. A lot of signs. And if you're just doing your own budget and you've seen the cost of living skyrocket and your utility bills go up 30% and all of your service providers overnight going from $65 an hour to $95 an hour because everything that it takes to run a business has now skyrocketed, but our average income has, in the last 10 years, the average income for an American worker in the middle class was $20 an hour, and now it's $22 an hour, but our cost of living is triple. That's not a good sign, my friends, and we have been silent about it, shaming ourselves for not being able to get our shit together. And when we express ourselves, those who have not yet, but I promise you will be, affected by this outsourcing, this progress, this automation, this delusion, if you will, that it's immigrants that are the problem of what we face. It's coming for you. You will not escape unscathed. All signs point to a crash. What we're doing is unsustainable. There's no safety net, or very little safety net for Americans. At least other places have a system that accounts for the realities of life instead of this independent, make your own self delusion that America is built on, the American dream. One person's American dream, it turns out in this reality, is another person's unemployment, homelessness, lack of health care, sickness. We're creating our own very sick population by the amounts of stress and anxiety and overwork and just ridiculous situation, we're creating it for ourselves by allowing all of our resources to just be consumed by this insane idea that we all have an equal starting point and we can all do the same thing, when it's obvious. You can look at the numbers in your own life as well as the world around you and see that that's actually a myth. It's not true. However, I don't want to just talk about how fucked up this is. It's so fucked up. And we're pretending that it's not happening. And that's not working. So I have this clever, crafty way of creating a lifestyle for myself and my family by controlling what I can control and dealing with what I cannot control with money and abundance and lifestyle. Right? So what happened in 2008 and what is happening currently that I'm seeing is individual families are going off conventional wisdom of consumerism and getting into a whole lot of fucking trouble. Because we're not being savvy and clever and crafty to use the current system, the current realities, the current numbers, the current tax code, the current economic situation, right? Just playing off a delusion that you're not part of the current economic situation does not improve your economic situation. However, I have a way of life that will allow you to survive and thrive in the current situation. This is dealing with the current numbers, the current realities. In terms of realized income versus this fantasy that you're supposed to strive for the 6-figure income. Let me tell you something. I reached that goal and realized my life would be worse at that number than it would at $65,000 because that's how we've stacked it. Making $65,000 or less provides you with a better lifestyle than making $100,000 a year. Exceeding $100,000 by $3,000 or $10,000 actually can plummet your lifestyle in a devastating way. And because we're not talking about these realities, we're not sharing the really important information that we can use to sustain ourselves, provide our families with a beautiful, love, comfortable lifestyle by getting creative and getting crafty and being financially savvy. See, it's this weird thing where when we buy into the delusion, go for the 6-figure income overnight, blah, 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 right? We buy into it and then we become dumb, passive, make bad choices. And then we look around and we don't understand why it's not what they sold us. Like why what they sold us is not what it's cracked up to be. Why is it damaging? Why is it worse to make 6 figures than it is to make, under $65,000? Why is that worse? I happen to know the answer to this. I live a lifestyle where there is an economic savviness that most people don't have. And it's based on the collection of broad amounts of data. I consume a lot of information in depth. I don't watch the news because that's just fucking trash for your soul. It's just poison that you're just absorbing in your soul. I read in-depth books about economics, psychology, sociology. I go deeper into the system. I pay attention to trends that I'm seeing across a very wide range of subjects. And I have this ability to take all of that information and make it concise and deliver it to people in a way that is practical, where you're understanding your realized income. You're understanding how to create a six-figure lifestyle, what we assume and the illusion we're sold that a six-figure lifestyle is, but you're doing it for far less money, and it's just savvy. It's not illegal. It's not like a total deprivation. It's actually a better lifestyle, one that gives you more connection, deeper relationships, a way of parenting that produces adults who are able to go out into the world and make savvy choices about their own economics, because this is how we live. And I'm not talking about couponing. I don't typically coupon. Coupons are tricks to get you to come in and buy something you otherwise wouldn't buy. Like 99% of coupons out there, you wouldn't buy that if you didn't have that coupon in your hand. Coupons are a marketing ploy, and they also take a ton of time. They take a ton of energy. And right now, as I have burned myself out and recovered from that for the last 2 to 3 years, and it's been real hard work to recover from it, economy of effort is a requirement. My voice is giving out, so please excuse my slurpiness on a cough drop for a second. Again, I want to share this information with you, and I want to do it privately so that we can actually relate to each other, actually have a conversation, actually address questions in a more in-depth way. I have so much information that I want to get out to you in terms of what's the most beneficial number for your income to shoot for, because it's not six figures, which is the, dime bag you're buying from your average, money coach or lifestyle coach or business coach, right? 6 figures is just the crack you're buying for the short-term high, and the reality of it is way more fucked up than you think it is for a variety of economic reasons and a variety of economic factors. So we're going to talk about what is the best number, what is the most effective number for me to have the lifestyle I want and meet the goals that I have. For the last 2 years, my primary goal has been sending Ainsley to college, and then Zach, of course, sending Ainsley to college and get her through it without student loan debt. Now, this has required a great deal of sacrifice on the part of myself, Ainsley, and Zach. But it's a sacrifice with intention. And it's not the sacrifice you think that it is. If you're listening to this right now, I'm going to say 95% of you will not understand the type of sacrifice this has required, because it's not the traditional formula of sacrifice. And it's not infringing on our lifestyle to the degree that is devastating. It's making changes. It's sucking it up a little bit. It's frugality. But you know what? We've always lived a frugal lifestyle. I am not one who wants to spend my money consuming food and drink that I'm just going to shit out the next day. If I'm lucky, sidebar. A special note about 18 years of gastrointestinal issues caused by stress. That's not the way that we're doing it. And here's the thing. My kids are not just on board, they're active participants in what we're doing with an understanding of the finances in the house, the financial contribution of members of the household, and labor contribution of members of the household. We're going to talk about that. How do you raise financially savvy kids who can go out there and live a life without mountains of debt? It's really important to me that my kids start life at zero, not at negative $80,000. And most kids now are starting life after college, their adult lives, in tremendous amounts of debt. It's not just a crisis, people. It's an epidemic of destruction. We're sending our kids to college to build a better life to their own destruction and demise. So we're going to talk about how to create the goals around the values of your life. How to not spend your entire life working yourself into the ground so that you're old before you're old. So that you burn out and then you can't even be a functioning member of society or make any progress because you pushed yourself to the illusion and the fantasy of this 6-figure dream only to find out that it was empty. It was not real. It's a mirage. The beautiful thing about what I want to teach you is that it not only creates better relationships and harmony in your home, it's also extremely beneficial to the environment. My household runs on almost zero chemicals. There's one thing I have not quite been able to replace, and that's dishwashing soap. I do use the method, supposed to be better. I would like to find something even better than that, but that's the one thing I have not been able to find a sustainable solution for. Otherwise, I have not bought laundry detergent in 7 years. I have not bought a dryer sheet in 7 years. Because there are ways to make the reason that people used to do things like reuse their plastic bags was not the environment, it was economics. But now we have a double motivation. I have not used a Ziploc bag. I have not purchased a Ziploc bag in 2 years. These are just habits. They're habits. And there are ways to change our habits that benefit ourselves, our relationships, our families, and the earth. I don't think that my not buying Ziploc bags is going to save the planet. But if I can convince you and you can convince someone else and someone else can convince someone else, if I can shame people at the grocery store line for using plastic bags, it's not a toss-up, people. Plastic bags are Satan's spit. It's not a toss-up. Paper is the way to go. At least it can disintegrate. Whereas plastic cannot. I have so much to share with you about this, but again, a podcast. One podcast just is not sufficient for me to convey the kind of depth that I want to convey. And also, I don't really want people stealing my tricks and calling it their own, and I would like to share information that I don't necessarily want Facebook to trigger any kind of attention to. I'm not breaking the law. I'm not going to tell you to break the law, but I am going to tell you that we didn't create this system, but we sure as hell should be using it to our advantage. And it's no longer enough to work hard. It's no longer enough to have, in fact, it's probably detrimental to have integrity. Certainly, I have found that to be true in my own business. I have found a lot of people who are willing to buy into coaching programs that sell a lie and a high to people who I felt it was unintegrous to sell my coaching program because of their financial realities and what that would do to their life. So I want to make money in a way that feels good to me and a way that has integrity. And I want to share with you this information that, oh my gosh, somebody told me the other day that their grocery store bill was $2,000 a month for the same size family, essentially, that I have. I found this so shocking because my family spends about $500 a month in groceries, and we don't use coupons. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I've had a coupon that I didn't even take into the store. We don't use coupons, but our grocery bill is $500 a month. And right now, what we're struggling with is there's not enough freezer space. Our cabinets are full. Our pantry is full. We have things set aside for emergencies. We have freezer space full. Like, we have so much food and abundance, and we only spend $500 a month on it. Everybody has what they want. Everybody has what they desire. Everybody has their cravings fulfilled. We're not just eating beans and rice. Sometimes we're even buying organic food. And I want to share with you the ways that we do that. So I am going to prepare a class so that you can inflation-proof your life before this bubble's going to pop. And I promise you, this bubble is going to pop. In fact, maybe you can think of it as like, when you blow those bubbles out of the little, bubble hole and it creates a bunch of little bubbles. Just imagine those pop, 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 pop. That's what's happening right now. Little bubbles are popping, little bubbles of illusion. And also bubbles like, wow, have you noticed that everybody can afford a fucking car while their income is going down? It's easier to get credit now if you've claimed bankruptcy than it is if you have good credit. They're calling a $13 an hour job a job. That is not a job. That is a not job. That is a job that is not a fucking job. It's a job if you can live on it and raise a family. Otherwise, it's just slave labor for someone else's profit. Because when you do the math, the actual math, you're losing money if you have a job that pays $13 an hour. You lose money every single month. It's not sustainable, but I want to teach you how to be able to sustain your life and live a really nice life, actually, really good life, by being savvy and using these tricks that I've used in good times and bad, that it's just the way our family lives. And it's about values and relationship and quality over quantity and efficacy of effort, efficiency of effort, economy of effort. So that you're not sacrificing your whole life and then getting starvation in return. I'm going to create I have spreadsheets that I'll give you. I'll create systems and formulas that I'll give you that I'll put them on paper and give you that. I'll do videos. I'm going to have a forum so that we can talk about these things and talk about, let's just tell the truth. Like, I'm really over the Instagram lying and the facade and the mirage and the pretending that we're all still middle class. I'm not in the top 1%, but I'm living a pretty damn good lifestyle. And I know you've seen the same things I have seen in your own numbers, in your own budget. And probably a lot of you who are listening to this are just barely holding your head above water. So my invitation to you is to visit tracysue.com/safe space. That's TRACEE.com/safe space. And I am going to be adding information to that as we go. I've got a lot of content that I want to put on there, and I don't want to waste my effort or energy putting it on there if you're not interested. in partaking of that. So if you could please go to tracysue.com/survey-says and tell me what you're interested in knowing and understanding. Would this be valuable information for you? I'm going to put it together anyway, but if there are, several people, maybe a dozen people who are like, yes, I want this right now, I need this, then it will go to the, top of my priority list. But if no one's interested in it, I don't want to feel rushed and like a pressure to get this out there if you're not interested in participating and collecting this information. So that is my invitation to you. Tracys.com, safe space, and then a survey to tell me whether or not you're interested in this, or other offerings like my series about trauma and new medications that I'm trying, some of them quite controversial. My content and courses, video courses, etc., about law of attraction, creating visions, going forth into your next decade, next phase of life, through the system that I've created and had great success with clients and my own self and my own family. That's also on the table. So I have this information, this content, these fantastically useful and pragmatic ways of seeing things and then incorporating them into your life. And I'm going to share them on the safe space, tracysue.com/safe space. But I do want to know what you're interested in and where I should put my efforts first. Yeah, I think that's fair. So thank you so much for clicking on this podcast and listening to the end. I love you. I want to exchange energy with you. I want to create a community where we can actually connect and build relationships and have a private conversation. I will speak to you soon.